Mr. Wilson. Thank you.
Going for lunch.
Not. Leanne. Okay, it is 2:00 and we have a quorum, entering the room, so I think we might just crack on and start our meeting. So welcome everyone to our first ever Strategic Planning Committee meeting. I'm not sure it'll be quite as popular on social media as the polo match last week, but we shall see how we go. Special welcome to our community board members. We have Leanne Fifield from Pleasant Point. We did have Kathy, but I can't see her there anymore, but I think she is coming back, and we have Shane from the Geraldine Community Board, so thank you, and thank you for giving up your time to come along today. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge that with our new committee structure, both the councillors and the officers are still finding our way, but I really believe that having a smaller committee focus on our key planning documents will bring in a lot more ownership from our governance group, which will be a great thing. I'd also just like to remind the committee members of the resources that Steph kindly loaded up to the hub prior to Christmas. You can find these if you go to the contents tab, the meetings tab, and then the strategic planning committee, sorry. There's a lot in there, and I really appreciate the time that would have taken Steph to load up, so thank you, but it's really useful to have it all in one place, and I think if this committee is all familiar with those documents, it will make everyone's job a whole lot easier as we work through the annual plan, long-term plan, and government reforms. So now on to the agenda. It's relatively light, so we should be a lot quicker than the last two committees. But yeah, it includes appointing our deputy chair and confirming terms of reference and a couple of other reports. So I will call for apologies. I thought I had Councillor Harper, but I see he's online, so I don't have any other apologies. Any items of urgent business? Haven't been made aware of any? No. Any items of minor nature? Nope. Any conflicts of interest to declare? No. Okay, so let's move into report 5.1. Just bear with me, sorry, as I get to my contents. So this is the election of our deputy chair. I'm not sure we need to talk through this report since we've already gone through it twice, but is there anything you want to highlight, Mr. Doran?
No, there's nothing additional.
Okay.
There's more than 2 people nominated.
Yeah, okay, so thank you. So, yeah, so we won't decide on a voting option first. I'll just call for nominations. If we have more than 2 nominations, then we can go to the resolution regarding the voting option, but I shall now call for nominations for the position of Deputy Chair of this committee.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Councillor Wilson.
Thank you.
Happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. I assume you're okay with that, Councillor Wilson?
Okay with that.
Do we have any other nominations? No. Okay, so then we won't worry about resolution 1, but resolution 2, we will elect Councillor Wilson as the deputy chairperson of that committee. We've had a mover and a seconder for the position. I assume you two would be happy to move and second the resolution as well. Thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Congratulations, Councillor Wilson. Just hope you know what you've got yourself in for, given my calendar this year.
Say that I'm sure that you'll have Fonterra second to this committee.
Thank you. Report 5.2, the Actions Register update. So we have one item on this report, and it is been moved from the Council Action Register into this, and it's regarding the Water Services Delivery Steering Group and reviewing the terms of reference. And I just wondered if we perhaps had a wider conversation on that, on whether we still need the steering group or whether this committee effectively becomes that steering group, and maybe just if we clarify the differences of where, and this will kind of delve into the next report around the terms of reference, Elliot, but maybe we just make sure we're all clear on water and what sits with the development committee and what sits with this committee, and that will relate to this action plan as well.
Right, through the chair, I was jumping up to attend to the next agenda item, but
We can just move to that if you want, but maybe we bear in mind, or because we might want to close the section off. I'm happy to deal with them whichever way you think is better.
I think firstly, I wasn't at the 27th of January meeting where we established the steering group. So that was obviously the council's decision to establish that. I don't know whether or not there was any conversation about the interface between the functions of this committee and that steering group, but that steering group is designed to steer the decision-making process through to the 31st of March, or the decision point just prior. And after that, I suspect it would be a matter for council. My advice would be it would be a matter for council as to where the delivery of the water services delivery plan sits governance-wise.
So then does the makeup of that steering group, because previously, we haven't reformed it since we reformed council, have we? And previously we had councillors Booth and councillor Parker on it. And so, and does that decision have to sit with council?
Yes, and yes, I mean, they've got the power, council has the power to do that. That steering group, I know it was intended to live on, it didn't get resurrected, and it has, I feel, been overcome by the two-member steering group at the moment. And I think the simplest way would be to address that at the substantive decision point, because that substantive decision will then sort of dictate how we're going to roll out the WSDP. And I think one thing to keep in mind is that if you've got a joint CCO option being developed, which we currently do with Mackenzie, you'd probably be wanting to look at a joint committee with that council as to actually being the face of driving the WSDP. But you'd probably want something in-house for our own processes.
Yeah, I think it's important from a governance point of view that we have some oversight to make sure that we're on track with that project and it's going to get delivered on time. But what I'm hearing from you, if I'm hearing it right, is that the decision making around that needs to sit with council, and I hate to play table tennis, but it's like we want to push this action back to full council where it just came from. Thank you.
My feeling is that this action was probably thought of when we were effectively going for an individual CCO before all the WSDPs were approved and disapproved, and kind of changed the playing field a bit more. It might just be one that's timed out and just complete and close, and then let the council handle it from that point of view. I don't think it needs to sort of live on an action register forever, because it's been it's been closed by subsequent events, really.
That was snap from me. I was about to say exactly the same thing, that when we bring our substantive document to council, how we govern whatever our decision we make comes part of that process.
Excellent.
So
we can close this. We can close this action and remove it from the report. Thank you. So the resolution is that the Strategic Planning Committee receive and note the updates to the action register. Do I need to add, and that we remove the action from the report? No, okay, so I'll add that bit to it. Is someone, I'll move that from the chair. Is somebody happy to second that? Thank you, Mayor Nigel. All in favour? Against? Carried, thank you. Okay, so moving on to our next report. Thank you, Mr. Higby, which is what you came to the table to present. I'll just, hand over to you. Thank you.
So obviously this is a repeat report from this morning's committee meetings, essentially laying out a process for finalising the terms of reference which govern this committee's activities, and just noting the updated Resolution 3, that tabling a draft full terms of reference at the council on 20th or 4th of February will give everybody an opportunity to get comfortable having played around with the committee structure before we finalise it in March.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on this report? So I just have one. We've got in there CCO, CCTO, WSCCO oversight. I think we need to flesh out what we mean by that, because already we're in a little bit of confusion about the oversight of the water services entity. And so in my mind, I think about letter of expectations, I think about the quarterly and annual reporting from our CCOs, and I don't actually have a view on where that should sit, and there may be a legal view on where that should sit. But is the expectation that that comes through this committee, or is the expectation that that still goes to full council? And if so, what are we left with in this committee? Is it just the drafting of the letter of expectations? And you don't necessarily need to answer that now. It's just something to think about.
How about we look at options around that when we bring the draft terms of reference? Just referring to the DGC, it's specific there as to the nature of that committee's oversight with the CCOs. So perhaps that's an addition we can put in there. Yeah.
Through the chair, also there will be an important part in ensuring that the CCO's long-term planning is compatible with our long-term planning process. So it's almost, this is quite far-sighted in that several years from now when it's up and running, it's just ensuring that probably our next but one LTP does account for and ensure it's working together nicely with it.
Perfect. That would be really good to just flesh that out a little bit for the final terms of reference that come back to council. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll move to the resolutions, which are,
Just before the last point, developing and recommending financial strategy, including investments, hedging, significant financial assumptions and debt management requirements. Is there potential for that particular point and the development committee going into conflict, or is that not?
I hope not. The theory, and this is just the theory, is that the DGC is essentially doing that evidential gathering exercise, and then it can be passed to this committee for the integration. And that's theoretical, so and we'll see how that works. But perhaps one way of looking at it is that the DGC is a little bit more interrogative externally and a little bit more unconstrained, and then brings those facts and their findings through to this committee, which then packages them up and begins the constraining and integration process to then go up to council. But that's theoretical.
in my mind, I thought that the financial strategy is a key part of the long-term planning document, and that's why I sat with this committee, and just to have that more in-depth overview and to my point initially, then ownership of that strategy from the governance group. But maybe I have that wrong. Yep.
I get that, but I just wonder whether... Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes.
Said at the start of the meeting, we're still finding our way. Yeah. Are we happy to move to the resolution, which is slightly different from that is in the papers? So is somebody happy to move that we receive the report, we've discussed the terms of reference and given some general feedback, and that the officers intend to table these at a draft at the next council meeting and the final adoption at the March council meeting? If somebody would like to move that. Thank you, Councillor Wilson. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Scott. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr Higby. Okay, our next report, we have Steph coming to present this. So this is that we endorse the priorities for this committee for the year. So I'll hand over to you. Thank you, Steph.
Perfect, thank you, and through the chair. So the priorities that we've got listed in the report are really based around the corporate planning and reporting processes as a matter of first priority. This will then help do a lot of the groundwork coming through from Development and Growth Committee, as Elliot said, packaging it up into a coherent, I guess, draft document, and then moving through to recommendations to council. Noting that the areas of highest priority are long-term plan, annual report, but then also having really good contextual awareness of implications of reform, what the impacts of the WSO establishment will create for the remaining activities, CCOs, and then also investigating potential future shared services arrangements, which we can see are likely going to become more common between councils. Happy to take any questions.
Questions, Councillor Puddington?
Sorry, point 5, I'm just interested that the corporate activity actually doesn't have any performance measures. Is that unusual? I would have thought everyone would have had some sort of measure.
Yeah, so the corporate group, we're actually spread out across a lot of the different groups of activities, the other 9. So we have some in democracy, we have, they're kind of spread out throughout, where we assist other activities to, I guess, meet their measures. We do also have the adoption of the annual plan, long-term plan and annual reports within statutory timeframes, which is basically the corporate's core purpose.
I think it's to reflect that most of our services are internally focused. Aside from things like comms, where we do measures through surveying and things like that, we're not touching the general sorry, I should rephrase that. But we're not we're not a sort of public touch point in that point of view. We are an internal organisation. Whereas things like turn the tap on and the water comes out is very much a direct service to the public. But it's down to councillors' future thinking whether they think there should be an external sort of target set for that sort of thing.
Thank you. Any other questions on these priorities? I was going to question at point 6, the oversight again of the Water Services Organisation, the council-controlled trading organisations, but I think the way you've explained that actually puts that into better context for me, and it's just awareness in relation to how they fit into our plans. So I'm happy with that. Any other questions? No. So if we go to the resolution, the Strategic Planning Committee received the report and endorsed a set of priorities for the committee. If somebody would like to move that. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Seconded, Mayor Bowen. All in favour? I think I heard aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Steph. So moving on to report 5.5. So this is the service performance reporting frequency and formatting. So I'll hand over to you in a sec, Steph, but I was talking to Steph about this report yesterday, and so at this stage we don't want to be changing the what we are reporting on, and that is really a conversation for the next long-term plan, but it's really, really good to have all of those measures set out in a report like this, thanks Steph, so we can clearly see what we're reporting on. However, we can at this point change how often we report on these various measures, and if we don't think it's beneficial and we're just wasting everyone's time, then we shouldn't be reporting on it, because there is a bit of work that goes into these performance measures. And then at the end it would be really good to provide some feedback on the format of the report, which is on the last page of this report. So I'll hand over to you, Steph, and then I'll take questions, and I can see Councillor Puddington is lining up for the first one.
I'll keep this short because I can see Councillor Puddington's very excited. So yeah, as the report states, it has been a common theme at council meetings when presenting these service performance reports that potentially we're not, in council's view, presenting what is deemed to be, I guess, important to the public at the frequency we're reporting it. So this is really to start the conversation. Ideally we will have a recommendation at the end of this discussion to take to council, but if the committee would like more time to consider this and make sure that they're happy with the frequency of reporting of certain measures, we're happy to defer it until March. But yeah, happy to take questions.
Thank you, Steph. Councillor Piddington.
No, I'm pretty good, but I get the point around what's important and what's not, and I guess with the changes coming to water and local government, we just need to be focusing on the right things.
Do you have any feedback on what the right things are, or we'll save that for a later day? Thank you. Part of my conversation with Steph was I wonder if quarterly reporting is too often, and we've probably missed the boat for this year anyway, but I wondered if a report at 6 months, because often that first quarter you're only just starting the year, and then so 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, because if you're not on target at 6 months, you kind of want to know about that at 9 months. Also talk to Steph about where we know we've hit something or we're clearly on target to achieve it, what's the point in reporting that again and again till the end of the year? So be taken off the list and just added on at the end of the year. And also thought that it would be really good if Steph came up with a recommendation, because she understands the complexities of some of the reports, what's required, what's not. So if everyone is happy with that approach, with the frequency, and if Steph comes back with a recommendation to a next committee meeting on how we might make this more efficient for everyone, I would suggest that would be a good action. Any thought? Is everyone happy with that?
Only question, you're talking calendar year, 6, 9, 12, or financial year? Financial.
Financial year that we're reporting on, yeah. So if we just move to the layout and the format of the reporting, this is just one example of what we've got at the moment, which includes pretty much the result for the period against the year-end target, whether we've met the target or whether we expect to meet the target, and then provides commentary for the current period and then where we expect to be at the end of the year. Is there any feedback on that format of that report? Piddington?
Just on it again, I guess, Steph, I remember we didn't do hotel visits for liquor licensing. I mean, I'd like to see the report sort of the important things at the top, the middle things that, you know what I mean? So we're not having the things that would really impact council at the top, and because all I see is the red dot, didn't have enough staff, didn't do it, doesn't really have an impact on the function of council. So I'd like to see it jiggled so the important things are at the top.
Challenge for Steph will be that everyone will have a different view on what's important. But I think if we I tend to agree with what you're saying though, although I would almost put that in a different context and go the things that we're at risk of not achieving at the top and the ones that are on track maybe down further. But I think at this point it might be easier to leave it with Steph to come back to a recommendation. Just one thing, and I'll hand over to you, Stephen, is I find the commentary really important, because there's no point in having a measure there if you don't have the commentary that explains the story, and probably stops a lot of questioning and meeting if we've got the commentary there. So I would recommend that we continue with the format as it is. Did you want to add something, Stephen?
I think there could be some value in the report which is attached to the report, highlighting stuff that's way off track. So having a kind of tolerance level that if something is outside of that, you pull it up to the report, and then just letting the rest go as is, so you could then just refer to it. It's probably because you don't want to give us editorial judgment over it in any way. But if it's sort of, if there is a kind of tolerance level where if something falls below that, it is highlighted. Good way of doing it.
Okay, so just remind me, Steph, of the timing is when are we next due for one of these reports?
So you're due for one in council at the end of this month, so we'll probably keep the frequency and format the same, purely because the measures have already been reported.
Or are you going all the way to December?
No, so we're doing the Q2 reporting, which has already been entered into the system, which was up until end of December, which we're reporting at the end of this month. Yep.
So if we use that report and your recommendations on how we might change it following that meeting to come back to this meeting, that would be a really good opportunity for councillors to, while you're reviewing that report for council meeting, to really think about what's good and what you'd like changed, and then we can look at that at our next meeting, if that's okay. Okay, any other questions, comments, feedback, anything else you want to add, Steph? No. Okay, so we'll go to the resolution, which is, that our committee receives the report, discuss the reporting frequency of the long-term plan service performance measure, discuss the reporting format, and we recommend reporting frequency and format of the service performance measures to be adopted by council at the meeting on the 24th of February. We probably do not want to be doing that. Can we change the last resolution number 4 to recommend that officers come back to our next committee meeting with a recommendation of how the report should look in future? Or something worded better than that, please, Alicia. Perfect. That looks good to me if you just cut off the end there. Is everyone happy with the alteration to the recommendation? If so, does somebody want to move it? Thank you, Mayor Bowen. Seconder, thank you. Councillor Scott. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Is that... Do we have anything after that? I think we're done. No, so no urgent business and no matters of minor nature, and I'd like it noted that this was the most efficient meeting today, so thank you everyone for your attendance, and I shall close the meeting at 2:28. Thank you.